the Global Fleet Conference 2020. I hope that you enjoyed our sessions so far, and I'm looking forward with you to this next video podcast. My guest today is Marc Odinius. He is Managing Director of Dataforce. For you that don't know Dataforce, you should, because Dataforce is the automotive data intelligence and market research company, and they know everything about fleet sales on an international level. So, Marc, it's really a pleasure that you can be with us. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. We are holding up great here, I must say. I now have 1,500 square meters nearly for myself because everybody's in the home office, but we're doing great. I hope you do the same, and thanks for inviting me to be part of this great event.
It's always a pleasure. We are doing well as well. And so I would like to start, of course, with the situation that we have today. What do you think is the impact of COVID-19 on, let's say, global fleet sales? And is it comparable in some way with the financial crisis of about 10 years ago that we have experienced?
Yeah, I would say, to be honest, it's a pretty big impact. And I think quite a lot of people are still underestimating how big this impact is. But if you ask me about the comparison, I think it compares it just a little bit, because of course Lehman, when it started out, was always first in one country, and then it was kind of contagious as well, because then more and more countries were drawn in, more and more banks were drawn in. That's pretty much comparable to that. And also we had international entanglements there as well, like with COVID. That's about it. I would say I would call financial crisis the little brother of COVID, because it's far less severe, I think, in the end, what we will see with COVID and what it does to our economy and to our lives in general. But I think we are also now better equipped because we had the financial crisis. We have umbrellas for states, for companies. We also have the lockdown induced by politicians. That means those politicians are now giving out lots and lots of money to countermeasure what they did before in order to help us all maybe steer through the crisis. And that's different because we're a bit more prepared for a crisis like this.
Okay. If we look a little bit through the year, let's say 2020, what can we expect in terms of global and regional fleet sales? Do you have like an idea about what will be the fleet sales figures across the regions?
Yeah, we have at least the view we can have up to now. We have, and we also have some projections where we think we're going to land due to what we know. And I would like to, even though I'm not allowed to do a big presentation, run around like I usually do, I still just put something on a piece of paper, which is this. I call it the crooked smile, and that's about the development which we probably have this year. So first 2 months, nobody had anything. We were at 100%, so no impact, hardly any impact. And then we really rocketed down to levels of 10%, 7%, 15%. Of market value in terms of fleet registrations. And now we will probably start to regain. We already see in the May figures we are bouncing back, but it will take time. And therefore this is going to draw out to the end of the year. But nevertheless, we think in general, on the global scale, that we will land at around 70% on average, which means our level at about December might be between 80 and 90 in that specific month. Not for all markets. Some markets will do worse. Some markets will do better. If you have a quick look at China, you can see that they were the earliest in the crisis. We knew Hubei. They had 0.2% registrations then in March, nothing. And now if you look at total China, they are back at 100% in April. So they actually managed to get out of the crisis. However, they did that. And another example, I think a pretty severe one for us, it's Italy. February, 100% still. And then we're going down to 7% in April, but they're bouncing back. 60% now in May. So that's something for European countries. They're going back to 60%. I still think that the US will even now hit the lowest levels of registrations because they now have also problems with the registration authorities.
Okay, good. Let's discuss some trends. We know, of course, that for many global fleet managers, sustainability and let's say the new powertrain mix is a topic on their agenda. Is there something that you expect for this year? Will let's say the prediction around ICE powertrains and EVs, will that continue like we had imagined before, or will there be a difference?
Yeah, you could say now everybody's preoccupied with COVID and trying to cope. If we look at the figures, yes, the figures are smaller, but nevertheless, EVs, especially hybrids, are up. So even the uptake is bigger than we expected. We're around 18% now in Europe. In China, it's about the same for electric vehicles, but we see a shift here in all markets. We see a shift from pure electric that stays about the same and rises a little bit, but we see a true shift into hybrids. So we see lots more hybrids being adopted and therefore pushing the total share of alternative powertrain. That works. And if you talk to fleet managers, you rightly say that. Their mindset has changed. It's not all about the money there. They want to be carbon neutral. They want to be better in terms of carbon footprint. Most say 2025, 2030 at the latest, they want to be neutral. And that still means they have to push. Maybe not quite as hard now, but I think it will be here to stay, and we'll push it a little bit.
Okay. Final question. You know everything about fleet sales and also about the car manufacturers. Are the car manufacturers today well prepared to answer the challenges according to COVID with, let's say, new solutions for the fleet customers? I can imagine that there is perhaps also a change in financing methods with subscription models or private lease. Are the car manufacturers well prepared?
I think I would say in parts. So I think you see more and more flexible schemes in terms of how to get your car, how to give it back. And also you see more and more private leasing coming along. I also think that used car leasing will be something that the captives will go into quite a lot because they control the cars coming back. So we will see that trend. But nevertheless, I think COVID hit everybody in that sense by surprise. And usually crisis makes us stronger. But still, I would say we weren't ready and we're not ready now. So it will take a bit, but I feel that everybody is pushing harder than before the crisis to make it happen.
Okay. Marc Odinius of Dataforce, thank you very much for having the time to discuss with us the outlook of global fleet sales. To the audience, if you like this session, please also give your feedback on the event app Attendify, and we of course hope to meet with you again in an upcoming session of the Global Fleet Conference. I hope that you will have a safe and successful global fleet journey. Thank you and bye-bye.